you have a lot of respect from a lot of bros I have in the first place. Like a lot of guys are your fans. Maybe because you're like deeply relatable, dude.
60% of my audience is between the age of 18 and 25. So it just changed because of these 10 on 10 videos I did during the pandemic outdoors, and it just kind of moved the needle younger. So now when I go out there, it's just like 20-year-olds or 21-year-olds. And I'm like, I have acid reflux, man. Like, I don't know how to, relate to them. But what I love about that generation is they can smell bullshit a mile away. They only value authenticity.
Yeah.
I think the reason you see a lot of like mainstream stardom and Bollywood themes shifting right now is because this generation smells bullshit.
What's happening in America? You've been there for a while now.
America's like the hot girl from high school.
Who's not hot anymore.
No, who's hot, but she's now back at the reunion and now everybody else is hot too. And she has to deal with the fact that we all went and we worked out and we got successful, and now we're just as popular at the reunion as she is.
You know who you're sounding like right now?
Who?
You're sounding like Abhijit Chavda.
Oh, the guy on your...
Yes.
Dude. Yeah.
We had to...
Yeah, we had to go there at some point.
We had to go there
Will you set up context? Because I thought it was hilarious. But yeah.
This was the first conversation we recorded in 2023. Vir Das has been a dream guest of mine for the longest time. In fact, when we started the podcast, his name was on the original list of guests that I wanted on the show. I'm glad I got him 400 episodes in, because I think to talk to someone with this kind of a mind, you need a little podcasting experience, you need conversational experience, and honestly, you need some life experience. I strongly believe that all the comics I know are also the smartest human beings I know. And honestly, in many cases, intelligence has a way of working against itself. Vir Das is someone who has intelligence, but he's also got stability. This one was a commentary on Bollywood, geopolitics, the two India's situation that had happened in Vir Das's life, his current mindset, and whatever is happening in Vir Das's near future. Vir Das's special Landing is now live on Netflix. Make sure you go check it out, and make sure you check out this conversation till the end. This is Vir Das on The Ranveer Show. For more episodes like this, follow us on Spotify. Every episode's available on Spotify 48 hours before it's available anywhere else in the world. Before I let you slip into this one, I want to mention that one entire section on this episode was about Transcendental Meditation, or TM, a tool that Vir Das uses to further his own creativity and sense of calm. Keeping meditation in mind, just want to mention that our meditation app is now live. It's called Level Supermind. I've linked it down below. Lots of guided meditations for beginners, intermediates, and advanced meditators. Make sure you download Level Supermind. Begin your meditation journey right now. This is Vir Das on The Ranveer Show. Vir Das in the house.
Good to see you.
I can finally speak to you, man. My God, I couldn't speak to you out there because I was saving all this for this conversation.
It's all good.
How are you, bro?
I am tired and nervous is the two things that I am. I'm tired because I've been it's been a long year. I've been traveling a lot. And nervous because I don't do this a lot. Like comedians, we get to hide behind the written word. And so we don't... I don't know if other comedians do, but I'm not always great without the written word.
Okay. Are you still changing at the age and stage you're at?
Yeah, man. Like, I think, India is a very young, comedy scene. So what we don't realize is Johnny Bhai, right? Johnny Lever is 30 years in. So that's peak of craft, or like Chris Rock or Chappelle, 30 years in, 29 years in, peak of craft. I'm 16. You don't allegedly even find your voice in comedy until 20 years in. So I'm not the comic I was last year, and I'm not going to be the comic that I'm right now next year. It changes every single year. Yeah. So one gets to feel like the old man of comedy in India, or at least one of them. But then you go abroad and get your ass whooped, and you see real 20, 25-year comics who are assassins, and we may not know their names, but they'll mop the floor with you. So it's a nice kind of a hashtag Okad moment, when you travel out and see senior comics.
There's very few comics who I think get really good with time, dude. And you're one of them. Like, I feel you've constantly gotten better. What have you done?
I just put in hours. That's it. Like and I've tried to put myself in rooms where I'm nervous. I feel like if we went to the Habitat Center tonight and there were younger comics, comedy is a very democratic profession. The new kid who's got 5 minutes can be better than the big star who's popped in with 5 minutes because he just has a better joke. He or she just has a better joke. So I try to put myself in those rooms a lot. I did a lot of club time to kind of really work on myself in the last 2 years.
So it's practice also.
It's hours. It's 10,000 hours. Like anything else, it's 10,000 hours.
I'm asking you this from a very everyday perspective.
Yeah.
Because as a content creator, I'm fighting against social media algorithms. Therefore, I need to maintain my audience retention. Therefore, I need to be funnier. So it's become a mission of mine to become funnier over time.
But are they dictating your subject matter?
No. But they are dictating the nuances of content.
But from the little that I've observed of you, and please forgive me if this seems like an external judgment, etc. Like to me, the mark of a good content creator is anybody can make you laugh. Anybody can make you dance. Anybody can make you cry. Musician, actor, comedian. Do I know you? Within 10 seconds of seeing whatever you're putting out there, do I know who you are? And I think you have that down. And I think in a world that values authenticity now over any sort of anything else, that's down.
No.
So that's something I strive for as well. Can they know you?
No, thank you, bro. I've never had a struggle with that. But I have had a struggle with being funnier, dude. And that's what I'm asking you. I'm asking Zakir Khan.
You haven't gone through enough shit then, man, maybe.
Okay.
Or you need to put yourself in an atmosphere where you go through some shit.
Or if I really expose my sense of humor, I'll go to jail. Like, that's the other...
Well, I think that's not in your control either. And jail is a mental construct that can be defined by various other things. You can be in a jail that your girlfriend defines for you also.
I am in a jail that my girlfriend defines. No.
So,
I was with Tanmay yesterday. Dude, and he asked me who I'm podcasting with tomorrow. And there was a lot of other people in the room. And I was trying not to think about this because somewhere I was nervous about like talking to you. Maybe because of my past and that whole situation. So I just said it's Vir Das. And the whole room shut up and they stared at me. Okay, that's the respect you command now.
Good stare, bad stare? Because I get both stares.
No, it's
you know
good.
What I mean?
It was a good stare. Because we were in Mumbai. So
there you go. Yeah.
That's the truth. And I know where you come from because I think success always brings with it, people who like you and people who dislike you.
Oh, for
that's
sure,
okay.
man. Yeah.
But my point is that whole room just shut up and they were looking at me like, what are you going to ask him? What are you all going to talk about? Dude, I don't know. I've not prepped for this one. I just wanted to talk to you. I want to get to know you as a guy.
I haven't prepped for it either, man. Like, I think, we both know I'm here because the special came out, but the special is out. So at this point, even these feel like weird conversations because anything one had to say, one is usually said in the piece of content.
Okay, I hear you. I'll tell you the reason you command that much respect, especially with comics. People are surprised with how much material you're able to write. Like Tanmay told me this yesterday. He said that you sit for 2 hours and at the end of 2 hours, you're ready with like 45 minutes of material.
No,
which is...
itna nahi, right? But I will sit for 2 hours for sure.
Okay.
Every morning. But I'm saying that is, I'm up by like 6:30, right? And I'm pretty sure you believe in flow and you believe in creative flow, right? So for me, 6:30 to 10, like I've peaked by 10 a.m. creatively. But I'm saying bina susu potty, nothing, kamre mein akele, 10 minutes of like gratitude, which is just kind of how I begin a day.
Sure.
And then writing instantly. Like nobody talks to me in the house, nothing till 10 a.m.
Susu potty is fueling the flow.
Yeah, basically. You have to keep it in there. It's pushing like, if it's intestine, potty, and then your soul is above that, the more you can fill up the intestine, the more your soul will come out of you maybe.
Let's go one layer deep, dude. How do you actually write jokes?
I usually ask questions. So I'll start writing down questions, right? Like, why is this like this? Or I don't understand this. Or who did that? And then I'll kind of regurgitate onto a page and it'll be like 5 pages, right? Then at some point I'll have to go to a club, which means bhatti hai, right? So then I'll take that 5 pages with like a hairbrush in my hand and I'll walk around the house for like 2 days saying, and that 5 pages will come down to 1 page. Then I'll go to the club and I'll try that 1 page and everything that I thought was funny will not be funny. And everything that I thought wasn't funny will suddenly be funny. So now I'll go back, re-listen to that, I record my sets and I'll start expanding on what was funny and what wasn't. But like to would you like an example? Like, would that work?
Yeah, go for it.
This is very non-profound or anything like that, but like I had to fart in the middle of a massage the other day, right? So I had like Italian food. And like Indian food ka timing rehta hai na, like you know, like after you're done eating Indian food, you have this much time. You can time your body. Like I have this much time to make it to the bathroom.
You also feel the heat leaving your asshole a little bit.
Right. So I didn't know Italian food mein kitna time lagta hai, right? So I was like in this massage and I hadn't gone yet, right? And so I'm just tight. And so in my mind, I'm like, this is no longer a massage. We are both moving a fart around to different parts of my body. Her with pressure and me with energy. So I think the question that happened then was, does anybody else feel this? You know, does this happen to her all the time? What happens when I fart? What is the part of my body that she will touch? Ki gates will open and I will fart. What will I say when this happens? Will she be able to tell what kind of cuisine I've eaten?
Wow, nice.
You know, so it is taking that situation and like 45 different questions. And then the joke is just answering that question.
What's America like, dude? Because so we had Priyanka Chopra on the show.
Yeah.
Who gave this whole narrative about how it is not easy for Indian people to actually relocate to America and then start from scratch again.
Not at all.
I kind of think it's just her and you who've done it very successfully in the mainstream.
Nobody even close at the levels, man. Like Priyanka's the global Indian. I walk into rooms where they're like, you're Indian like Priyanka Chopra. No? So like that's a thing now.
Dude, you've been on like the Tonight Show and all these things.
Yeah, sure, but not like Priyanka Chopra.
Okay.
I've performed on the Tonight Show. Priyanka Chopra's on the couch, man. It's a big difference, you know. So I could not have more respect for what she's done. And when she says it's hard, I fully understand how hard it is for me now. And therefore, how much harder it would have been for her to break down the initial door.
Yeah.
You know.
How hard is it for you now?
It is hard. You know, in terms of, I have an Indian accent. So a lot of times I'll go into auditions and they'll be like, can you do the American accent? Which you do. Sometimes you're an actor, so you're paid to put yourself into other shoes. I think they have such a palatable version of Indian culture that has coexisted for so long with them. And you find this everywhere you go in the world. There's like a local Indian perspective. There's a British Indian, na? And that's been in 6 comedy shows. There's an Indian in America and that's been in 6 comedy shows. Whether that's Apu from The Simpsons or somebody else. There's a Canadian Indian, which is like a Russell Peters, right? So suddenly, if you come in going, no man, I'm from the billion. You know, like I'm from today India. They don't know. You know what I mean? They don't know what that perspective is. And no judgment for not knowing. They've got enough stuff happening in their own country. They're busy. But bringing them around to their perspective is a tough one. Like, you know, I remember the first time I did like a late night appearance. Everybody was very nervous with me going out. And I'll tell you why. It's because my opening joke was, hey, my name is Vir Das. I'm from India. Have you been? If you haven't been, you must go because your jobs have. All right. That was the opening joke on primetime American television, which is very middle of the road, you know, conservative America. Then I did a bit about how American women don't deserve Indian men. And then I did a bit about how my accent is a perspective. It's not a punchline. Then I made fun of Donald Trump. Right. So in a world in which every comic with an Indian accent has been coming in going, oh, what beautiful buildings you have, etc., they just weren't used to
someone roasting them or their culture.
Not even roasting them, but having a modern perspective on who they were. You know?
What's happening in America? You've been there for a while now.
I think it's going through a mental health crisis that nobody's talking about. I think Donald Trump just felt like everything was on fire all the time. So Biden, jo bhi bolo, he's like an old man and all of that stuff, but I'd pick that over, irrespective of like left wing, right wing, just everything feeling like it was on fire all the time.
Yeah. Dude, and I think if your top influencer, which is your president, says certain things, it goes and kind of encapsulates the rest of the country as well. Like the average person starts thinking in those tangents.
Well, I was saying this to a bunch of Americans the other day. I think America is getting used to the fact or grappling with the fact that it is no longer the biggest seat at the table and that there are many seats at the table now, us included. You know? Sometimes I feel like America's like the hot girl from high school. You know?
Who's not hot anymore.
No, who's hot, but she's now back at the reunion and now everybody else is hot too.
Mm.
And she has to deal with the fact that we all went and we worked out and we got successful and now we're just as popular at the reunion as she is.
You know who you're sounding like right now?
Who?
You're sounding like Abhijit Chavda.
Oh, the guy on your...
Yes.
Dude. Yeah.
We had to...
Yeah, we had to go there at some point.
We had to go there at
Will you
some
set up
point.
context? Because I thought it was hilarious. But yeah.
Abhijit Chavda has been a regular on the show.
Yeah.
He's a scientist who's also a self-trained historian. He does a lot of commentary on geopolitics. I've learned a tremendous amount from him.
Yeah.
He had a lot to say about the video.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a little context on the video?
I did a video called Two Indias. I think everybody is who's not been under a rock within our community kind of knows about it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
See, the thing is, when you're doing podcast with someone, when you're in front of the person, you get to know the entire energy of the person.
Yeah, exactly.
I know him very intensely well because I've probably done like 20 podcasts with him. And now I believe I'm getting to know you as well. I think we all were in the same room. You all would have had a great open-ended conversation, kind of dissecting it. But sometimes the internet has a way of maybe polarizing yourselves. You know what I mean?
So, I mean, the context is I got sent a clip, all right, where I think this gentleman was calling me a coolie or something like that, right? And I messaged you because I'd seen your stuff and I'm a fan of what you do. And I think I also messaged you in a month in my life where you have to understand there wasn't a single member of my family who hadn't been threatened.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So with every bit of discourse that did something, it added to a situation that I'd never spoken about.
My intention was not to add fuel to your fire.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but it's just the circumstance of where I was, right? And that is nobody's fault but my own. I clarify that.
Why do you say that, dude?
Just in terms of I'm responsible for my own circumstances, right?
Okay.
At all times. Whether intentionally or not intentionally. I own my circumstances at all times, right? So I saw him call me a coolie. And I sent you a message because I was like, I hope, and I think you're younger than me, like by quite a bit, you know. I'm like, I hope he knows that when you call an Indian person a coolie, it's like calling a black person the N-word, you know, or it's like calling somebody a slave. It's incredibly ignorant and racist. And so I think if you read the tone of the message I sent you, I never said, don't say this about me. I just said, I hope this never happens to somebody else on your show.
Yeah.
You know?
Sorry about that. As someone who also gets targeted on the internet, that it wasn't my intention to throw bullets at you.
Not at all. But what I will say is, I'm an artist, right? And I'm an Indian artist first. I've been taught to accept my feedback, mouth shut and head down. This is my school of living, all right? However you feel about my content, I'm yet to critique it. I'm yet to defend it, and I'm yet to apologize for it. Any piece of content that I ever create. That is your honor. And I have to sit quietly, and I have to listen to you. And I have to honor everything that you say. This is my job as an artist. So were he in front of me or were anybody in front of me, for any piece of content, what I'll always say is, however you feel about my content is valid feedback, right? Let me see if I can contextualize this. I'd say, should I listen to your feedback and should I learn from your feedback? Absolutely. At all times. Do I acknowledge that art is imperfect? Absolutely. At all times. Do I feel like artists who are evolving should have the freedom to be imperfect without a system coming down on them or without being threatened? Absolutely. I feel they should.
I strongly agree with you.
Right?
Go on.
Do I feel like what happened to me or my wife being threatened or any of these things is right or wrong? Buddy, who cares? Nobody cares, right? Let it go. I'm a comic. So what's the most important question? Is it funny? Is it an interesting story? Guess what? Absolutely. It is. So what becomes my job? My job becomes shut up, sit down, and write jokes about it. It's as simple as that. I've yet to mention my content. I've yet to give a news interview about my content. I've never been on a news debate. I had every major journalist in the world calling me saying, come on the show and, talk about the... Nothing. Sat down, bina susu, bina potty in the morning. And I took 8 months of my life and I wrote a joke. I wrote a show about it. And I took that show across the world and it made millions of people laugh. Now on Netflix. So now my narrative is something that began with drama, has brought joy to millions of people. And that's me taking control of, my story.
Yeah. How do you look back at it?
I don't, man. Like I'm trying to find my next piece of content. Like the one thing I know for a fact is your content can become controversy and you have no control over that. Controversy should not become your content. So my priority was, how do I take this, turn this around and make people laugh at the end of the day? So what did I do? I don't know if you've seen the special or if you've not seen the special, but the special is really just taking everything that I went through and making an ass of myself.
Because of 2 Indians?
Yeah. So it was like, I was called a terrorist on the news, but how did I explain that to my mom? You know what I mean? It's like your friend said, somebody called me a slave. Vir Das is a slave. But Das also means slave, no? But my first name is Veer, so apparently I'm a brave slave. At the end of the day, it talks about, I understand that I'm an idiot. So it just takes things and turns it into joy, which is all I really want to do. But I think India, like, we got to be more secure about who we are, man.
You're right. And that begins on a very personal level and not even like a geopolitical level. I think that samman and getting respect in our society is a very big deal as compared to the rest of the world.
But respect from who? We have to respect ourselves. It's as simple as that. Baba, slum hai, to slum hai. And we're working on it. Right? Slum ke samne bada white wall nahi lagane ka. Slum hai. We're working on it. You give us time. We're a young country. We'll fix it.
Are you into geopolitics?
Not so much, but this is my point. I'm not in favor of building the big wall in front of the slum to pretend like it doesn't exist.
Okay.
I'm in favor of saying it exists and we're going to get it right. We're very young, man. Like, we've been holding the baby for a very short amount of time and we've made it to superpower.
The stuff you're saying right now, I wish, honestly, we had done the podcast around that time so you could have said the same stuff then.
But like I said, it's not my... I'm talking about it now because I wrote jokes about it.
Okay. You took time to just process your own thoughts.
I'll never... Buddy, I'm nobody's victim. I'm nobody's hero. I'm just a comic at the end of the day. So I had to do that first before I ever talked about anything.
A lot of the younger comics I meet are often in a bit of turmoil. A lot of turmoil, probably because they have so many thoughts and they're trying to write down so many things. And a lot of the older comics I meet are super self-actualized. And I'll put you in that same category, dude. Like, in a very non-romantic way, there's no pain in your eyes, dude. Like, there is some pain, there's thought, but a lot of people hold pain in their eyes. You're a relaxed guy at this point in your life, perhaps.
But dude, think about the odds of what I get to do and how I get to do it. I'm a guy from Noida. I'm half UP, half Bihar. I was raised in 4 different countries growing up. I got to go to America and study for college economics, which I didn't even use. The odds that I get to travel across the world and make people laugh and that people will pay money to see that, do you know how astronomically small the odds are for somebody coming from where I come from? So to not treat this like a blessing every single day, I'd be a moron, man. On my worst day, going through, and this is not the first controversy I've been through. It won't be the last controversy I've been through, right? But the curse of a comic is going through the worst moment of your life and going, there'll be 5 good minutes after this. It's literally that. That's the curse of being a comic,
Wow.
Once you have made sure your wife is okay, once you have made sure your mom is okay, once you have made sure your dad is okay. And I had to, because they were not. And they didn't sign up for a lot of what I went through. They didn't come along for this journey of, and also you don't get to predict when you're going to become a national conversation. No, you're just putting up another YouTube video like you put up lots of YouTube videos. You got to safeguard them, and then you got to really never feel sorry for yourself and say, this is going to be funny someday.
I've been doing this for like 7.5 years and I've seen the audience change so much, dude.
Yeah, man.
it's almost become difficult to do content because I feel the audience has become really smart. And I go as far as saying the Hindi audience is becoming smarter than the English audience.
Yeah.
Because the English audience is a little bit arrogant about having grown up in cities. And the Hindi audience is just an open sponge to accepting more.
I mean, I think the most progressive, forward-looking discourse in India right now is happening in Hindi and not in English. Like, if you look at any news channel in India right now, every single English news channel is screaming abominations on a daily basis.
Yeah.
The most patriotic, quiet, and peaceful things and progressive things are being spoken softly in Hindi. You know, Hindi is where the discourse is.
Yeah. Again, it's the advantage of the language. It can go into so many places.
No, but also it's a
Representation of that part of society and their mindset.
it's just more authentic to who we are. You know, I think Hindi captures who we are more authentically, or like our emotions more authentically as well.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
I've started enjoying making Hindi content a lot more, dude. Honestly, it's much easier.
Yeah.
It's much more hard.
You find it easier?
Yeah, now.
Okay.
And I think I've grown up in similar circumstances as you. Very English thinking, urban, all that. And I had to go for Hindi tuitions to even begin speaking in Hindi, dude.
I should do a joke about it. In the new special, there's a bit where I talk about I feel like I'm too Indian for the West, but too Western for India.
Yeah, I relate.
You know, and some people can relate to that, right?
100%.
But the caveat to that joke is you don't get to choose the first language you speak. You don't get to choose the first country you're raised in. All you get to choose is what you carry in your heart, right? I choose India every day. Whether India chooses me back or not, I still choose India. And honestly, what could be more obsessive than one-sided love for an Indian boy? Right? So, that's every Bollywood movie I've ever watched.
Max relate, bro.
Aap meri ho. You know, like I think that's it, right? So, but you know, you couldn't control that you were taught English first, neither could I.
Yeah.
I was taken to Africa when I was 1 year old. Who had control in that? But I'll be damned if I ever let anybody measure my Indianness, man. I'm Indian. You know?
Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? Do you think that far? Like in terms of, are you going to stay in America?
I don't stay in America. I live in Goa and Bombay. I tour the world. So
okay.
I went to 25 countries this year. I did 183 shows. I like going to America for about 3-4 months a year because that is where some of the best comics in the world are. And I want to bat at a global level. I think there's a vacancy for like a global Indian voice. You know?
Multiple.
Right? In every genre, in every this thing, right? An authentic Indian voice.
Unfortunately, and I spoke about the same thing to Priyanka Chopra.
Yeah.
Dude, unfortunately, we need to go there and become big for a lot of people here to consider us cool.
No, Ray, not cool, but just to like, okay, there's a club called the Comedy Cellar in New York. It's the best comedy club in the world. All right. They don't talk to agents. They don't talk to managers. You can't use any pull to get inside. They don't release the lineup. It's sold out 4 shows a day, every day of the week. The only way to get into the Comedy Cellar is to have 2 comics who are regulars vouch for you to do an audition. So after 3 Netflix specials and 4 world tours, I went and gave an audition, 3-minute audition at the club. And they passed me and I started getting these 15-minute spots. First night that I was there, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, Kevin Hart. All right. Which is fine. It's a great story and all of that stuff. But all the other comics who were 20 years in terrified me. They were so good. They had so much more experience than I had. So it's been a while since, you know, you're backstage saying, can I follow this guy? Or can I follow this girl? You may not know their names, but they're assassins. Or like, you know, I was at the Cellar and I was doing the 8 p.m. show. 8 p.m. show is 5 comics, 15 minutes each. Damn nice. Costs you $11. Chris Rock comes in to try his new material. Chris Rock is one of the best comics in the world, we could say. He bumps the entire lineup. So I was number 3. He came in after number 2. Main gaya. He does a 1 hour, 10-minute show. So imagine you spent $11, went to a club on Monday night, and you saw Chris Rock's new special. Right? For an hour, the best comic in the world. And then I was just hanging out to take school. You know, see how a great craftsman does it. And the agent, the booker, the manager of the Cellar, her name is Liz. He's like, yo, go up after him. and do 5 minutes, right? While they drop the checks for people. So I'm dying. I have to follow Chris Rock for 5 minutes, right? And I went up there, I killed, man. Did really, really well. And I thought, okay, got away with it. She made me do it 10 nights in a row.
Wow.
So for 10 nights, I would watch one of the greatest comics in the world, do his stuff, die on the inside, and then go up and close. That's experience you can't buy. Do you know what I mean? So in that sense, not to like sell lots of tickets or play arenas, for that stuff, America is very useful. To do
Pushes
that.
you to grow.
Pushes you to grow. In India, touch wood, God's been very kind wherever we go. There's lots of people, etc. But you can't tell if a joke works or not with 4,000 people or 3,000 people. You need like 100 people in the basement, and then if there's a silence, then the crowd will slap you.
Do you get hit on by a lot of women from other countries?
All, man.
Are you sure about that?
I'm positive, dude.
Okay.
I'm positive. I would notice.
A lot
it would be such a rarity that I would notice. Achha, I'm going to have one more lozenge. You want one more?
Yeah, sure.
Huh?
I'll continue talking to you though.
Come on.
Thank you, bro. Dude, a lot of bros have a lot of respect for you. Like I've seen you on these American podcasts as well.
What is a bro? Let's define this first.
Bro mentality guys have a lot of respect for you. I'm myself included.
But like a bro is like an alpha male or like
no, just a cis male as they call it.
Okay, all right.
Like, I don't know now if that's a good thing or a bad thing, dude. I can't keep up with the Gen Z
whatever
legalities
the
and the mentalities.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of respect from a lot of bros I have in the first place. Like a lot of guys are your fans. Maybe because you're like deeply relatable, dude.
I'm in a weird place, man. Like, and I talk about it in the special as well, is 43. And in the last year of my life, 60% of my audience is between the age of 18 and 25. So it just changed because of these 10 on 10 videos I did during the pandemic outdoors, and it just kind of moved the needle younger. So now when I go out there, it's just like 20-year-olds or 21-year-olds. And I'm like, I have acid reflux, man. Like, I don't know how to, relate to them. But what I love about that generation is they can smell bullshit a mile away. They only value authenticity.
Yeah.
I think the reason you see a lot of like mainstream stardom and Bollywood themes shifting right now is because this generation smells bullshit.
What's happening in Bollywood according to you? From whatever you've understood about it, I'd love to hear comics experience.
I think it's very simple. Earlier on, hero used to stand on a mountain and music used to play, and they felt like there was mystery and aspiration in that. Then social media happened and you became the hero. You stood in an Instagram reel, you put this thing on, the music on, and you got to be the hero of your own story, as you should. It wasn't just limited to these 10 privileged people or these, 100 chosen people, etc. Then the pandemic happened, and every single Bollywood star's facade was taken away from them. So you suddenly saw all these big Bollywood people struggle to be themselves on social media. And this generation started to value authenticity more and more and more and more. So now this generation is telling you, hey, forget all this nonsense. Can you take my tiny part of India and can you put our story out there? Our perspective, our lives. That reality I'm interested in. And if you're going to give me escapism, I want Avengers. I want, Bahubali. I want RRR. I want that level of escapism. But this nonsense I can do myself. Every day. I think that's basically what it is. So we're redefining what it means to have fans.
Is a similar thing happening in Hollywood? Like this whole Bollywood narrative that we drew out about audience retention and non-relatability and all that.
I don't know, man. Hollywood, every time they say it's finished, Tom Cruise aake resurrect karke chala jata hai. You know what I mean?
Why is that the case, dude?
I don't know. I was thinking about him the other day and I'm like, I think I wrote down, like I write questions. I'm like, do you think if Tom Cruise was 6 inches taller, he'd do all of his own stunts? You know what I mean? I think because he's a shorter guy, there's so much to prove, Short man with a point to prove. We're very dangerous. The world has been ruined by short men with a point to prove. Napoleon, Putin, Tom Cruise, comedians, all of us. We're ruining the world.
Shah Rukh Khan.
Yeah, there you go. I remember seeing... Kabhi Haan Kabhi Na. Remember Kabhi Haan Kabhi Na?
Actually, I saw it recently, dude.
Aana mere pyar ko na diya. Like that's like, see that in a Patna movie theater. You understand what Bollywood is. It's really something. That's something beautiful.
Do you think this is 90s nostalgia or that's still the case?
It's possible. fuck it, I'm entitled to my, to my 90s nostalgia.
Have you met Joe Rogan?
I've not met Joe Rogan. I suspect I will, but
You're going to be on his show soon, dude. We know it.
I don't know. But I respect, man, like for that guy, for what he does.
Dude, I based a lot of my shit on Joe Rogan.
But also what I like about what he does is nobody can fake it beyond a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Like you put somebody on camera for more than 20 minutes, they are going to come through.
And imagine putting that level of quantity.
Exactly. But like who they are or their fakeness will come through. And he gives them 2.5 hours, irrespective of what they believe, what they say, etc., etc. And then the crowd can make up their mind.
Yeah, dude. And he's got his own set of critics, and there's lots of people against Joe Rogan. But I don't have more respect for any other person in media anywhere in the world for just the amount of work he's done, the kind of conversations he's brought to the forefront, and kind of what he's taught me on a personal level about conversation, dude.
Yeah, he's just... I think it's a skill to allow people to be themselves in front of you, or to enable them or empower them to be themselves in front of you. He does that. And yeah, look, 6 out of 10 things he says, you may agree with or you may not agree with, but you can't deny that it's an authentic conversation. And who else has that, man? Like he beats CNN as a mainstream media outlet right now. That was either a pataka or somebody got shot, bro. Like, I don't know.
That doesn't happen. But you go on.
But where did we arrive at this? Like, it's great to see mainstream media also like struggle to compete with two guys in a microphone, man. Yeah. Isn't that great?
Dude, and it's happening in India as well.
Oh, for sure. Dude, I've worked in a news channel. So a lot of my stuff also happens because I spent 5 years working at CNBC in a newsroom. But I used to do comedy, I used to do jokes and all of that stuff. But I've lived in a newsroom every single day. None of those people are prepared for what's coming next. You know what I mean?
Which is what, according to you? And I think what you're saying is, in a way, a lot of American trends kind of trickle down to here.
I don't think so. I think before an art form becomes obsolete or reinvents itself, it has to go to some sort of an extreme. Like the way I think about it is Howard Stern. For a very long time, radio was like a, hey, good morning. Well, that kind of this thing. And then suddenly this guy came and talked about dicks for 10 hours a day, right? Which is a complete swing of the pendulum here. But that's what led to podcasting. Let's be clear. Yeah. It had to swing back into this new thing. So I feel like with news channels right now, if you look, आंधी, धुआं, fire graphics, सब लोग चिल्ला रहा है, कोई गुस्सा है, हर चीज नेहरू की गलती है. Like, it's like it's like this big swing towards something, and then something new has to come of it.
Independent journalism.
I don't know if they have the
freedom.
No, they have the freedom. You think who doesn't have freedom? That's mainstream media. They don't have freedom. But I think the finances or the reach,
I hate saying this because it sounds arrogant.
Yeah.
Or the social media know-how. This is a game, dude. This is a very mathematical game.
Perhaps. I certainly don't know how to play it. But I do know when something is undeniable, it's undeniable. Like I remember Barkha in the migrants crisis during COVID. I saw like a mainstream Indian journalist sitting on the road with a laptop and with a tiny microphone talking to people. It was undeniable. However you feel about it, and at that point, I recognized that as journalism. So that too is happening, and you could, I don't know if that qualifies as independent journalism because, this is a very mainstream phase. So I don't know.
I don't know enough about journalism to know whether this qualifies.
Dude, it's fascinating because I think like people like to pat themselves on the back. Doctors are very passionate. Actors are very passionate. Artists are very passionate. Bro, journalists are very passionate. You don't get into that profession unless you have just a fire in your belly.
To have your voice heard.
Not to have your voice heard, but just to have discourse or to... Like you have to have a passion for your nation. I believe that journalists do.
What's the trip of that career?
I don't know, man. Like I mean, also if you think comedians are unhappy people.
Oh yeah.
Journalists are
you see pain in their eyes, dude. I've been in newsrooms where someone was just reading out the 8 p.m. news. And this lady was commanding so much respect, dude. Like good aura.
Yeah.
But it was like she had pain in her eyes. Because every day of your working life at 8 p.m., when your family is eating at home, you're saying that these many people died. These people got They tumbled down a hill. This happened, which was bad. And unfortunately, negative stuff spreads on media faster.
Yeah.
Therefore, news chooses to report negative things, which is why this whole narrative of positive news should be a thing. But the honest truth is that positivity doesn't spread as fast.
No, not at all. Negativity is this thing, but also they give up so much to do this, man. Like,
I don't think it pays well. I'm going to say it as it is. I mean, that's a subjective...
At the highest level, perhaps it does, but also, where God takes, He gives, man. Like, nobody knows that better than a comic. If you look at my life, I work when you party. This is my whole life. So every holiday that you spend with your family, every weekend that you recuperate from your work week, that's when I go to work. So in terms of dinners, in terms of birthdays, in terms of that whole thing, I get it. My wife is now luckily at a point where she can pick cities in the world and be like, okay, main London aayegi, but I'm not coming to Arlington, Texas, right? So, but I spend, normally I act half the year and I'll tour half the year, but last year I spent 8.5 months in the world. Right now, one way to look at that is, who gets to say I've seen the world? Like the world. I do. But I got back after 8.5 months and everybody was different. I missed out on everybody's year that I love. So there's that too, So where God takes, He does give a little bit. So I do get that for journalists.
Oh, what is God to you?
A sense of responsibility to a higher power that expects goodness.
Expects you to do good things in the world. Yeah. Okay.
It is a sense of responsibility towards kindness. I think that's God. I do think there's a higher power. I do think it created us. I thank it every morning, and I reminded of the people in my life that are important to me every night. I believe in karma instantly. I don't believe in like long-term karma. I believe in like every time something goes wrong for me, I can think back to, did I do something last week? And that's perhaps just my own self-check, but I do believe that if you tell a lie this week, you will lose a project next week. I do believe that if you're rude to somebody who's serving you food this week, you will fall sick next week. I believe that. But to me, God is what enables me to be kind.
As you grow older, does your belief increase?
No, it's always been there. I've been praying every night since I was like 11 years old. So it's not in my house, we're Hindus. So we celebrate every single Hindu festival. And then we join our friends and family who celebrate other festivals as well. I don't. So sometimes the image of the God that I see has gone from different God to different God.
Yeah.
So it won't always be Hanuman. Sometimes it'll be a different God, etc. So if that, in that sense, it has changed. I pray to Hanuman, I pray to Ganesh also, I pray to,
The one thing I've understood about exactly what you're saying from the monks I speak to on the show is that the gods you see, when it changes, it changes depending on what you need in life. And if you have emotional and cultural understanding of what that deity or that god represents, you'll be able to extract even more of what you need from that particular god that you're drawn to at that phase of your life.
Interesting. Like I was taught one thing, and I think it's by my family, is never ask God for something for you. Ask God. God is there to take your requests, but not for you. Like it has to be for other people.
Yeah.
So my morning, evening thing is wake up in the morning and I think of everything I'm grateful for 10 minutes. And then at night, I'll be like, yo, God, like, aisa ye sab log hai, and this one needs this and that one needs that. So could you please sort these people out? That's my own thing.
I've been cancelled a bunch of times as well. I believe in God heavily.
Yeah.
When I'm cancelled, sometimes I go closer to God. In the middle, honestly, I was addicted to being cancelled. So I would tweet shit which I knew would get me cancelled.
So I've heard every kind of discourse about this, right? And I don't know what it is to be cancelled. Like, because the American version of it seems like, I have a joke about it in the special where I'm like, It's literally me going, I was with an American comic the other day and he was like, cancel culture is me and Vir. The other day, a mob came after me on Twitter and I was like, come. Idhar aaja, right? So it has a very, I don't know what it is really. Isn't it just feedback and then meanness?
Yeah, I think in India we have so many people that even if you're kind of getting criticized, it might count as what the West counts as cancel culture.
Hey, dude, it's one big joint family, man. And we're all having like one meal. Now, Chacha ji will not like the bhindi and somebody will like the bhindi. Yeah. And that's just kind of how we have to coexist. But as long as it doesn't affect the safety of anybody and you're able to continue to do what you do.
Yeah.
Screw it, man. I don't know. Like, do you read too much into it or does it affect you?
No.
Yeah?
It only affects me if my mother, sister, or girlfriend get affected.
Yeah, same. Like, I got again, where God takes, he gives. And so I know that God has taken not just from me, but from the people in my family as well. Taken my presence, taken our life with us. So when something that I'm going through affects them, it's a tremendous amount of guilt and then there's anger as well, you know?
I think because as the traditional Indian male, you're ready to take the bullets on yourself.
I know, but they're not bullets, man. Like I said, it's par for the course. That's all I keep telling myself. It's not easy. I will never try and lionize myself and be like, no, I don't fall apart. It is not easy at all. But I recognize that it's on the way to something.
Yeah. It's a part of this job that we've chosen for ourselves, dude. Fame is going to bring this aspect.
And also, dude, you've been famous for 7 years, 8 years, 9 years now. The one thing I can tell you, that shit isn't in your control.
Yeah.
Other people will decide when you are famous, when you are not famous, when you are cool, when they want a selfie, when they don't want a selfie. It'll happen to you 6-7 different times in your life and you won't know why it's happening. And you won't know what you did. And that shit you gotta surrender. Like, I cannot tell you how many people I see wear sunglasses indoors in airports so that they can watch other people watch them.
That's so true. Fuck.
Right? And that shit is a drug. And when those people lose fame, they fall apart.
Yeah, I've seen this.
You know? Sorry, that I didn't mean to like...
No. Yeah. Dude,
because these are friends of both of us. I'm pretty sure we both have these friends, right?
Yeah. I've seen people who've quickly risen and quickly fallen as well. It messes a person.
Look at comics in India. The comedy scene is so small. And then suddenly a comic gets 30 million views and it is the king of the world. You can't expect that boy or girl to know what to do with that overnight. You're supposed to lose yourself in fame. You're supposed to be an asshole for 3 years. Do it. Spot boy, entourage, wheatgrass smoothie. Kar le. Jo bhi karna hai. You know what I mean? Kar le. But then figure out that this shit is in your way.
Yeah. What's in your control? Just your routines, right?
Just your routines. But again, my job is to say yes to things. Otherwise, my routines won't change. Don't you hate the comic who's like, you know, I was in Chandigarh last week and some shit happened at the gig in Chandigarh. I'm like, are you doing a gig about another gig?
The only comics I really enjoy being around are Tanmay because I know him, he's a bro.
Yeah.
The older comics like Papa CJ, yourself.
Yeah.
And again, Zakir Bhai because he's a bro. And I don't know too many of the other guys, but I feel there a lot of them are in turmoil and a lot of them are competing with each other.
But the job is turmoil, right? But the job is also, acha, skydiving, chal. New meal, chal. Girlfriend wants to do this, chal.
Because it'll give you content.
It'll give you content.
Rahul Subramanian, I add him to that list. He's one of the most relaxed people
he's
I
very
know.
Chill. He's very chill. Yeah. But you can't be like, mera jet, mera ye, mera wo. Then try writing a joke about your private jet and see what happens to you in a comedy club. You know?
One last thing, because you rarely get to serious conversations like this with Vir Das. He told me you did TM, dude, outside.
Yeah.
I've done TM, so I was like staring at you like, okay.
I don't strike you as a meditator, no?
Not at all. TM is Transcendental Meditation. It's the meditation that the Beatles did with
the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi.
Maharishi Mahesh Yogi.
Yeah.
It was too heavy for me, dude, honestly. Like TM.
You had a mantra?
Yes.
You resonated with your mantra, or did it feel like a forced mantra?
I resonated with it, but it pushed me to a very powerful place. It was maybe too much power for that. I was 23, dude. So
I taught TM in workshops and stuff when I was about 20, 21 to get a scholarship to go to the US, by the way. But sometimes you're doing TM and the mantra will, like, either the mantra leads your breath or your breath leads the mantra.
Let me just give the context
Yeah.
to some listeners. TM is this very powerful form of meditation that uses something called Bij mantras.
Yeah.
Bij in Hindi or Sanskrit means seed. So they say that a tiny mantra sits in your head and becomes a plant.
Yeah.
And it'll actually give rise to a lot of changes in your creativity, in your mindset, etc. I've done maybe 5-6 very advanced types of meditations. This one was very powerful.
Yeah.
And a lot of famous people, I think even Oprah Winfrey, Tim Ferriss, all these folks have like done a lot of TM. The Beatles are the most famous ones.
What it does for you that I like is, sometimes the mantra will move to the back of your head and the mantra will align your breath, but you'll find yourself having thoughts in the rhythm of the mantra.
Yeah.
Right? So even if it is just, I should be happy because of this.
Yeah.
Something else. Rhythm. And then that allows you to pick up on flow. Like to me, I was talking to, there's a guitarist, his name is Warren, and he's kind of a virtuoso guitarist. And I was like, what do you play? You don't play chords. And he's like, I play colors. Right? So to me, stand-up is temperatures. That's how I think of stand-up. So it is hot, cold, sweat, freezing, lukewarm. That's kind of what my flow is. And that's what I try and take you through in a show. So to feel flow, but still have rhythm, I think TM helps with that.
Do you still practice?
Now and then.
Yeah.
But dude, I'm so jet lagged.
But it helps your mindset. I can feel the Zen vibe in you, dude.
Dude, this took work. You know what I mean? Like, especially this year, this took work. But I don't think it's something you have to do every day. Another thing with self-help is it's been like regimized with everybody. Like, मैं साफ साफ बोलता हूँ, I've read the first chapter of every self-help book and fallen asleep. You know what I mean? So I just know कि problems exist. उसके बाद, solving तक मैं पहुंचा नहीं हूँ because it all seems very militant right now.
And honestly, solving problems is subjective, dude. Just like life.
True. But like for TM, I would recommend it to anybody.
Vir Das, so much more to unpack, brother. Shit, this was fun.
Thank you, man.
Sorry about that video.
No, don't be silly. It's all good, dude. It's all good.
At least in this conversation, I proved to myself that I can have a conversation
of course
with
you
Vir
can,
Das.
man. I don't know who these comics are you hanging out with like that. I'll happily come back anytime you want to have a conversation.
Yeah, dude, there's so much to unpack with you.
Please watch my special. I hope you enjoy it. I think you'll really enjoy it.
No, 100%, dude. I've been following your journey since Local Lo Baat.
Good Lord. You're one of 5 people, including my mom and my nani, who have seen Local Lo Baat. So yeah.
Just great talking to you, dude.
Thank
Everything
you,
I had to say, I've already said it. I appreciate the guy you are, dude. And I'm glad I got to experience you in person, Mr. Das. That's what I'll say.
Done, man. Done.
Thank you, bro. I wish you like 100 times more success, which I think you'll get anyway.
Touch wood. Thank you, guys.
That was the conversation for today. Absolutely love talking to evolved men just like Vir Das. He's so connected to his emotional side. And this is one of the joys of podcasting. I've been watching his stuff for more than 15 years, 20 years, and now I get a chance to talk to him for an extended duration of time. I get to explore his own mind. I get to take the best bits away, and I get to grow as a media professional through these conversations. So happy I get to share these with you guys. Thanks for supporting the Ranveer Show. I don't have too much to say about this one. This particular conversation was close to my heart because he was one of my OG wishes when it came to the guest list. And I'm glad we ticked his name off. For more episodes just like this, make sure you follow us on Spotify. Every episode's available on Spotify 48 hours before it's available anywhere else in the world. Make sure you download my meditation app, Level Supermind, now to begin your own meditation journey. Because trust me, just like Vir said, it has a role to play in creativity. It has a role to play in stabilization. We live in the age of mental health issues. And while therapy is something everyone should undergo at some point in their life, I also feel meditation should be spoken about in that same conversation. Because at least from my experience, it's helped me stabilize my mind. It's helped me create better. And everything that I gained from meditation, I've shared with you guys on Level Supermind. Download now. This is Vir Das on TRS. And TRS is going to be back soon. Thank you.